Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 10 out of Jake, man. I'm rocking with y'all, y'all rocking with me. For this video, I'm going to be speaking on White Mike.
Turn it up.
Now, I met Mike at Appalachia Correctional Institution. This was my first adult prison. I was inside of I-Dorm, which is a closed custody dorm full of crazy ass people, a lot of killers.
What's the matter? You scared? Now stand back, I gotta practice my stabbing.
It was a wild ass dorm. I had people that had just got off of death row. It had people with MIPs, murders in prison. I was in I-4, 2 bottom. My bunkie was Bimba at the time. And I remember when Mike came in. He came in, shortish looking dude. I don't know, maybe like 5'7", 5'8", but stocky, you know, just a bulky, cocky dude. You could tell he was working out. My first impression was that he had been down some years based on his size. And he was put in the cell 1 bottom, so he was my next door neighbor now. And eventually we got to talking, socializing, whatever, and I got to find out more about him. Now, Mike was a smoker. It didn't matter if it was cigarettes, weed, K2, but he loved the K2. He was a complete Tunchi head. He wanted to smoke. He wanted to get high, and he was funny as hell. Every time, I mean, you would just see this dude, big as hell, and his eyes lower than a bit, just hanging out like, yo.
I want to get high, so high.
What's up, bro? He was just sitting on his bunk, yo. But he was a cool ass dude. He was funny as shit all the time. He kept everybody joking, everybody laughing. Now, eventually, he gets another bunkie put in because his bunkie had left, and he gets a white guy. Most white inmates prefer to have white bunkies unless they're a part of an organization where that organization isn't predominantly white. Most Hispanics prefer to have Hispanic bunkies, but if they have to choose, they usually would want a white over a black. That's just how it works from what I've seen. Like I said, unless they're a part of a certain organization, people just, you can find conflict when mixing cultures. So when you have 2 different cultures in a cell, there's 2 different types of people, 2 different types of personalities. The respect level can go up, can go down, because personalities can clash based on the cultural differences. But then again, that's just my experience. Florida is not a segregated prison system. Everyone seems to get along with everyone for the most part, and that's how Mike was. Mike was socializing with everybody regardless of race. It didn't really matter. Gangs, it didn't really matter. And he himself was a neutron, but he was happy to have a white dude in his cell. He preferred to have a white dude in his cell. And he vocalized that he was very proud to be white. He had white pride. He would call himself the Polish warrior. I'm a Polish warrior every time we're working out because he had a weight bag. We'd borrow the weight bag, we'd bulk up, or we'd be hitting the pull-ups under the stairs. I worked out with dude plenty of times. The people around me worked out with him plenty of times. And he would always just do this Polish warrior thing, which we thought was, you know, funny as hell because nobody really was intimidated by Mike. No one was taking him serious like that. But that was his thing. And I mean, dude had size, so I'm sure if he hits something, he's going to do some type of damage. But I also seen Mike get bitched up at the same time. He was a poker player. He liked to gamble. He never really put himself in debt. He knew when to call it quits or he'd just go hungry because he burnt all his money. But I remember when a black dude stood up and pretty much said something that involved the whole table. It was something along the lines of, I'll smack everybody here. And you know, when someone says something like that, like, oh, I'll whoop everybody in here, you're going to have people that's like, you ain't going to whoop me. You know what I mean? But in that moment, he didn't say anything, and it wasn't necessarily directed straight towards him. It was kind of everyone involved in the poker table over a dispute. I'm not sure what the dispute was. But I'm not going to necessarily say he's soft based off of that instance because with maturity, I've learned that some people value certain things more than they do coming out on top in a specific conflict. Some people have things going on behind the scenes that we may not know about that is more valuable to them than to just crash out. And it's very possible that the guy that's starting the conflict has nothing to lose. He has no money behind the scenes. He has no plug on anything. He's not worried about nothing. So him going to confinement isn't that big of a deal versus Mike could have had something that we don't know about, going on. He don't want to mess it up. He's like, all right, I'm just going to let this one go. And that's what he did. He didn't get in a fight over it. Nothing. So I'm not going to say he's soft based off of that instance. But I did see how he reacted. And he wasn't vocal about it. He was just more so quiet. And it did give me somewhat of an impression on him. But like I said, I'm not going to really finalize my opinion just off of that one instance. Because if somebody was to keep pushing him, just his physical strength alone, I know he can do damage. Now, Mike never gave me any racist vibes. He never claimed to be a part of an organization. He did hang around the white dudes mostly. Versus on the rec yard, he worked out with everyone. Because when you're hitting the push-up bars, the dip bars, pull-up bars, it's mostly the black dudes and the Spanish dudes. It's not really a lot of white guys like that. So he was mingling with everybody, but he more or less aligned himself with the whites. And there wasn't an organization over that banner. He was just with the white guys. But when he started telling me about his case is when I started forming a different opinion. Mike told me he was from Jacksonville, Florida. He had a J on his tag, on his ID number. More or less, he told me that he used to be in the hood. Everyone knows about Jacksonville. It's one of Florida's murder capitals. A lot of people are getting killed in Jacksonville. The majority of people that I met that were in prison from Jacksonville had over 10 years, either murder or attempted murder charges. They're killing shit over there. It's just, that's how it is. Jack and kill. And shout out to all my subscribers that's coming out of Duval. I fought with Duval heavy. We was tied with the cutthroats multiple times in prison. But hey, let's get back to the story. So he said he was in the hood. I'm not sure if he was living in the hood. He was just inside of the hood. He tried to buy something and he got robbed. And it ended with him being shot at and his house being shot up. When he breaks it down like that, it's like, all right, you got violated. You know what I mean? You got violated for no reason. You were in this black area. You got robbed by black people. They came through. They tried to shoot at you. They shot your house up. He made himself sound like a victim in a sense. And he told me, you know, he slid back and he lit the house on fire. And he didn't know there was people inside of the house. He made that clear. He's like, I didn't know anyone was home. I wouldn't have did it if anyone was home. He felt bad. So he expressed remorse in the case. He told me that a child was burned. The mother was burned. He got 6 attempted murders for this specific case on top of an arson charge. He didn't know there was 6 people living inside of that house. When you hear about a white guy in Florida, in the South, burning down a black people's home, shit starts to get questionable. You know what I mean? It starts to turn into, is it a hate crime? Are you really a Nazi on the low? Is there something you're not telling me? But you know, he just said he pretty much got fucked over in the hood. He went back, lit the house on fire, got arrested for it. He didn't know that people got burned until after the fact. He didn't know people were in the house until after he was arrested. He was sentenced to 18 years in prison for that crime. Now, it took me forever to find Mike's information on the DOC site because we called him Mike. White Mike, whatever. We didn't call him Michael. So I had to go through all these fucking names, like a couple hundred names, just to find him. And then I seen this goofy ass picture. I got excited. I'm like, Mike. We used to make fun of him. I don't know if it was on Finding Nemo when the little shits would be like, Mike, 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 Mike.
Mike.
We used to do that shit all the time. Every time we seen him, Mike, 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 Mike. Dude was a cool ass dude. He just had a funny ass vibe to him. He always put out good energy. And thinking back on the memories, you know what I'm saying? I crack a smile when I think about it because I think about some of the good times in prison that I had around him. But of course, through finding his name, I look up his case. I look up the information behind his case. The stories didn't align. What the news told was different from what he told. A 27-year-old Middleburg man was arrested Monday on a charge of arson and 6 more of attempted murder after a fire was set just feet from 2 propane tanks at a neighbor's home on Plankton Avenue with 6 people inside. Michael John Hicks was visiting the home about 7:30 p.m. Sunday when he started arguing after drinking alcohol, according to the report. Told to leave, he came back and punched a hole through the screen door and dented the front door. He came back at 11 p.m. and was told to leave again. 4 adults and a 9-year-old boy went to sleep while a 17-year-old boy stayed up to play on the computer. About 1 a.m., the teen saw smoke seeping into the living room from the west end of the home where the others were sleeping. He woke them up and they ran outside to find the side of their home ablaze. Hicks stood about 20 feet away, according to the sheriff's office report. The family extinguished the fire as Hicks told them it was a good thing that he was there to save them, although he hadn't alerted them to it. When firefighters and deputies arrived, he was found hiding behind a tree in sight of the home and said he had helped extinguish the fire. A state fire marshal's office investigator and dog confirmed an accelerant had been used to start the fire. The dog also smelled accelerant on Hicks, while a further search turned up a gas can behind the home. Hicks's criminal history includes a conviction for second-degree arson in 2004. Now that story sounds nothing like what he told me. He didn't sound like a victim in that case. I didn't hear about any robbery. He sounded like a drunk that made a dumbass decision. And that is why I wanted to speak on Mike's story. Regardless of age, when you are in prison, you're not judged by your age. Whether you're 18, 30, 40, 50, 60, it doesn't matter. If you make a mistake at 18, you're held accountable just like a 30-year-old or a 50-year-old. You're not judged by your age, but your character. If you come in there and you're fucking off and you're acting stupid, regardless of your age, because you have a lot of immature people, you will get fucked off inside of prison. You will get metal put in you. Whatever will happen to you if you come in on that bullshit. And I've seen it time and time again where you will have younger guys that are more mature, calculated than the older guys. In this case, I break down what I read and what I heard from him. And to me, what he did is he tried to sell a story that was greater than what it was. I'm not sure if he threw in that they were black and people got burned because he wanted to make his story sound more gangster, aligning with how he got shot at and he got robbed. I'm not sure if he was trying to use this story to further affiliate himself with the whites that share one thing in common. They really don't like minorities inside of the prison system. Because he only told that story in front of me and another white guy. I don't think he ever told any of the black guys in the dorm he lit up a black person's house, because I'm sure they would have felt some type of way about that, hearing that story. But like I said, he wasn't really affiliated with any gang or trying to be inside of any gang. So it's almost like he just told this fabricated story to impress people. He was giving them a false image that he was some badass, that someone tried to violate him and he went back and burnt up the house. It said nowhere in the report the race of those people. It said nowhere in the report that they were actually burned. It said that they extinguished the fire themselves, so it couldn't have been that serious. But the stupidity of the crime that he did that costed him 18 years. Most men don't have the balls to go into prison and tell another man that has a life sentence or 20-something years for killing somebody or attempting to kill somebody or doing some brutal shit. Most men don't have the balls to say, I'm in here because I got drunk and I lit a little ass fire and I got 18 years, because you will be judged off of that. You will be looked at as a dumbass. You threw your life away for that. And I've been drunk with Mike before. We got drunk off of some buck. Cell 1 got a whole bunch of cups. Cell 2, Bimba bought like 15. I think I drank like 4 or 5 and he killed the rest. And I mean, we were wasted, just shit-faced drunk. Mike wasn't an aggressive drunk. He wasn't aggressive on Tunchi. He wasn't aggressive under the influence of anything. He was always just vibed out and chilling. So to hear that, you know, he's punching holes through doors and lighting things on fire, it was a character that I didn't get to meet. I didn't see that side of Mike inside of prison. And not only that, I would have respected and appreciated if he told me the actual story behind what happened, because there's a lesson to be learned in that. But at the same time, when I met him, he must have been, 28, 29, something around there? And he still felt that he needed to fabricate his story to further solidify his image inside of prison, because he had only started his bid. He was only in for maybe 2 years? So he's got another 16 years to go. A little bit of alcohol mixed with the dumbest decision can have an impact on the rest of your life to the point that you're sitting inside of a cell for the next 18 years, having to act like you did some gangster shit when you know when you're hot you really didn't. And I mean, who's to say? He could have got robbed and just didn't tell the police, and the family told whatever story they told because they wanted to defend themselves and not get caught up in a robbery. Oh, he's a drunk. He came over here. He did this. He did that. Whatever the case may be. But there's still something to be learned from Mike. I met a cool ass dude. I consider him a solid dude. You know, there's levels to being a piece of shit in prison. He did burn down somebody's house, but he wasn't the bad guy that I met. He just made a stupid ass fucking mistake. And don't ever confuse age with maturity or intelligence, because you can be the oldest, dumbest motherfucker. You got people that get out at 30, come back at 31, and they're in there until they're 60, and they don't learn a fucking thing. So kids, don't be like Mike. And Mike, if you ever watch this video, bro, I hope you're keeping your head up. I hope that you're able to progress and educate yourself and do whatever you can do to better yourself as a human being while you're inside of prison. And I hope that when you come out, you stay out. But hey, it's 10-9 J. I'm rocking with y'all, y'all rocking with me. Till next time.